Annaliese Nielsen is there in the audience there in Milwaukee. Annaliese, this is an opportunity for the Republican convention to hear from everyday Americans, everyday Trump supporters. But that was an extraordinary reception that the former president received there with his bandaged ear as he sits and listens now to these everyday Republicans.
Look, this is the first public appearance for Donald Trump since the assassination attempt, and we weren't necessarily expecting him to be here. They've been teasing all day, maybe he's coming, maybe he's not. And I can tell you, being in the room, you felt him coming in before you saw him because the crowd just went absolutely wild. I'll give you a little glimpse if I step out of the way of where Donald Trump is now. So this stadium's full of the real party faithful. These are the ones who prosecute the case for the Republican Party at a state level every day, and Donald Trump is in that box with all his VIPs, and that's a very strong statement. Who's sitting there with him, who gets to shake his hand when he walks in, and of course the most important among those is his new vice presidential pick, JD Vance. As a senator, he's been quite impressive among Republican circles, a young up-and-comer who's made his mark, especially negotiating on trade-related issues, things to do with the economy, and he's won over some of the union movement, which is what a lot of blue-collar workers, in fact, the speaker who we just heard from before, those are the kind of workers that they want to bring over to support the Republican Party through an endorsement like JD Vance, and now through a place on the ballot. So this is why they've picked JD Vance. But we spoke to people before who said it was a lot of the chemistry too, and the fact that he's a very good debater. Donald Trump was confident that once he sent JD Vance in to debate Kamala Harris, that JD Vance would come out ahead. We're told he only found out 20 minutes before the announcement went public, and so JD Vance talked to Fox News about what that was like, getting the phone call from Donald Trump asking him to be on the ticket.
He just said, look, I think we've got to go save this country. I think you're the guy who can help me in the best way. You can help me govern. You can help me win. You can help me in some of these Midwestern states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and so forth. And he said rightfully that we have been very, very close for a long time, but especially since I endorsed you in 2022. And I would not have won that race without Donald Trump's endorsement. And the president's trust then and his partnership since then has been something I value a great deal.
One of the criticisms that came out immediately from the other side is that they said JD Vance used to be a never-Trumper, that he's a never-Trumper at heart. This is something that we can expect to be in all the ad campaigns for the Democrats up until Election Day. So I asked a few senior Republicans how they feel about that characterization and whether that's a fair characterization of JD Vance.
I think the exact opposite. I don't think there's anybody that's embraced my father's platform more over the last couple of years than JD. He's come on thick and hard, and he's been fantastic. Those guys are going to work together great, and I see behind the scenes how much respect they each have for one another, and it's probably something that the media traditionally doesn't see, but they're going to make a hell of a team.
People who are critics of JD Vance say he's a never-Trumper, that he said some critical things about Donald Trump. What would you say to them?
I would say that actually that could be a unique attribute for him, if you think about it, and making the case to voters who did not vote for Trump in 2016. He could say something similar. You know what? I didn't vote for Trump in 16 either, but here's why I came around. So I think that's actually could be what people frame as a negative, could actually be a very positive attribute. To me, I think he's one of the best fighters we have in the Senate. So the Senate is going to miss him. That may be the only negative, and I mean that as a compliment to him.
And Kieran, I've been wanting to show our viewers this quote from the head of the Teamsters Union because it illustrates so much about how the fundamental shaping of the Republican Party and the Democrat Party have moved. The fact that you've got a senior Teamster not immediately endorsing a Democrat president like Joe Biden, who joined a picket line in Michigan, there's still a real sense that among rank-and-file members of the union movement, most of them lean more towards the Republican side. They want more protectionist trade policies, they want to keep manufacturing at home, and they want to support blue-collar workers.
My message is clear. We want to make certain that people understand, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or Independent, how important it is to respect working-class America, and also, you know, to encourage bipartisan participation on issues that face working people.
Look, Kieran, we've got a sense of just how much of the political theatre happens at these conventions and how much of this is just so performative and so about not performative. It's all about the performance, which I know is different. It's about putting forward that message that's going to continue for this campaign right through the next few months. And so I wanted to just show you what it looks like the moment that all these delegates voted without a single one voting against Donald Trump, and a show of unity for his presidency.
The state of New Jersey is extremely proud to cast all of its delegate votes for the 45th and soon to be 47th President of these United States, President Donald J. Trump.
As chairman of the United States Virgin Islands, the land of welcoming people, beautiful beaches, tremendous culture, and the best rum in the world, proudly casts its 4 delegates for President Donald J. Trump.
The state to cast 62 votes for America's Braveheart and the next president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, for president.
We cast our 40 votes to continue to fight and save America with Donald J. Trump. Our votes for Donald J. Trump. Woo big Philly!
Let's make it official. Accordingly, the chair announces that President Donald J. Trump, having received a majority of the votes entitled to be cast at the convention, has been selected as the Republican Party nominee for President of the United States.
Confirming what we knew would happen, the endorsement of his party. We saw it there in terms of the numbers, but we saw it with the overwhelming welcome to Donald Trump, the first appearance, the first public appearance since that assassination attempt at the weekend. Let's replay that for our viewers who might have just tuned in.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life.
Annaliese, yeah, you gave us a sense of what it was like in the room. You knew that he was coming from the reaction in the build-up, and then the sound, the noise of the party faithful and the Republicans from right around the nation must have been quite extraordinary.
It was a real moment. This is the first time we've seen Donald Trump since this assassination attempt, and the fact he's walked out with barely a graze. I'm going to step out again so you can take another look. The fact he's sitting here just seems like a small miracle at all, and there is just this really strong sense of unity, and I don't say this as just a kind of endorsement or fangirling. I'm saying this because I've been covering the Republican Party for the last few years, and it's been a disaster. They've been just really unable to get together in any show of unity after the 2020 election. They got pummeled in the 2022 midterms, and they were just watching their preferred candidate be riddled with lawsuits. So the fact that this has all come together this way now, that all of those never-Trumpers have stepped aside and this convention is entirely unified. I know we keep saying, yes, it's all delegates voting for Donald Trump. That's not a given by any stretch, that you have every single person here behind the one candidate. That's not the norm necessarily for these conventions, and we'll see that in Chicago for the Democratic National Convention. So the fact he's here, he's survived a literal bullet. He's lost the worst legal case against him is now he's shaken that, the classified documents case. Really, he's just waiting to see what sentence he gets in New York, and a custodial sentence in September is just going to be so difficult for them to try to enforce, even if they wanted to. And he's sitting here, he's got his young, vibrant VP, and he's ready to fight, 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 which is what all his supporters have been saying and cheering. And it's just a really stark contrast to the kind of depression we're seeing from the Democrat side of things. Even those who are saying we're going to stick with Joe Biden, it's not because they're enthusiastic about it, it's because they feel stuck with that option.
Yeah, indeed. The contrast could not be greater. The energy and the support, the momentum around Donald Trump, even in the wake of being shot over the incumbent.